Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and I'm here today to help you infuse your brain with a little bit more map knowledge inside of Overwatch. Today we're going to be talking ambush and flanking tactics while playing the attackers in a game of Assault over on the Temple of Anubis. This is probably the #1 map that I see the attackers struggling with in Assault. And so it was the first map that I wanted to focus on for this map knowledge series. Now, on screen right now, I'm going to be showing you guys some recommended heroes for the tactics that I'm going to be highlighting today. We have Soldier 76, Genji, Tracer, and you could, in many cases, even throw someone like Reaper into the situation. We want to be focusing on high mobility heroes that have some level of sustainability, whether that is through their mobility or, in the case of Soldier 76, through his mobility and his ability to heal himself. First and foremost, though, small tip for everyone who is playing Overwatch right now. All of the spawn points in the maps inside of Overwatch have more than one exit. In fact, they have 3. I strongly recommend that you make use of all 3 of those exits when your team initially pushes. On a game of Assault, there's the potential for a Bastion to be sitting right there or right there. There could be Tracers or Genjis hiding out down below. There could be a Hanzo or even a Widowmaker up on that ledge, ready to just go to town to you. I should say Widowmaker. I don't think Hanzo can make it up there. Ready to go to town on your team. And if your team is grouped up in one big bunch, they are more likely to take large portions of damage. Split up your team as you push out of your safe zones. This is going to be vital to gaining and maintaining as much health as you possibly can on that initial push. I've seen whole teams get wiped out right there by a good, well-placed Bastion and a Torbrun turret. So just be cautious. Just be very cautious. Now, once you make your way up to this initial arch, this is pretty much the most difficult choke point on the map. In fact, it's the only substantial choke point on the Temple of Anubis that is going to pretty much hold, I would say, 40% of the teams that I've seen from ever making their way into A to cap it. I've seen so many matches go down while I was playing the defenders and end right here, start and finish right at this archway, because people struggle to understand the heroes that they should be using and the tactics they should be using to get behind enemy lines and break up the defense. And that is very much what we're focusing on today when I talk about ambush and flanking tactics here on Temple of Anubis. So you have 2 separate lanes apart from this main lane. Now this is going to be a crazy area pretty much anytime you're playing this map. There's usually some sort of a turret up here. You might have a Bastion right on this location. You might have a Torbrun. You could have snipers like Hanzo and Widowmaker up on that far rooftop. It's going to be a hot spot, and having a Reinhardt here to sort of mitigate some of that damage is going to be useful. But what you can best do as a more mobile hero is gain access to one of these flanks through either of these lanes. So let's start with the left lane, door A, which doesn't have a new car, but it has a really heavily defended alleyway to push through, which then immediately takes you up to a really great viewpoint that will give you access to the rear end of possibly a Bastion or a Torbrun, not to mention a slew of other heroes that might be hanging out on this bridge, firing down upon your team. Put some damage on them. And one of the things I want you guys to keep in mind whenever playing a mobile hero like 76 or Tracer or, Reaper and Genji and so on and so forth is that it's not always about getting in and getting a kill. If there's a Bastion there, you better damn well bet you should do everything in your power to eliminate that Bastion. However, it's also equally important that you try and stay alive. And sometimes just getting in here, dishing out a little bit of damage, making use of your crouch. There's a crouch button in this game, believe it or not. Go ahead and slap your C key. Your control key. Or your B button if you're playing on a console. And, use it. Put in the damage. Do what you need to do. Eliminate those Bastions. Recognize that you have a very vital, large medkit pickup. And then a very clear exit strategy. So you can make your way right back out here. You could group up with your team. Maybe you're about to engage in a really big team push. You could fall right back, or you could even drop in from up above, get behind your team as they push on to A. So that is one of the more easily accessible points on the map. You can just get in here and do what you need to do to get the damage done. Strongly recommend making use of this in the early game, especially with some of the high damage heroes like Reaper and 76. They're going to be able to get in here and clear out those dirty Bastions. Now, the other side of the coin is a slightly more risky push in lane, however, still just as accessible if you recognize what the enemy team is running. Now, this room right here is a bit of a hot spot. You're going to want to get in and out of it as quickly as possible. Make your way up here. You have to be careful. There will often be defenders, protecting this area, doing whatever it is they need to do to make sure that you're not pushing through there. But if you can gain access to this, you've got another health pickup. You've got another area here that allows you to crossfire on anyone sitting at this bridge. If you can coordinate that with another player on the other side of the bridge, that's going to be fantastic, no doubt about that. One of the things to be really wary of when you're inside of this room or making the push in this room is whether or not the enemy team has a Junkrat. If they have a Junkrat and he has any sense, he's not only pouring grenades through this area, but he's pouring grenades through this area once your team is pretty much up to this halfway point. If I was playing a Junkrat, once their team got to this point, I'd start pouring grenades into this doorway because I know people are going to try and push through it. So get through here, as I said, as quickly as you can. Grab that heal if you need to. Make your way up here. Pick a room. You can go in here, or you can use the top floor, which is something that I see a lot of people completely glossing over. Whether they don't know what's here or they don't know where it leads, it's extremely useful. Not only do you have another health kit, a large one this time around, but it opens you up to two great vantage points. One that could help you tear down anyone on the rooftop adjacent, or start to rain fire on anyone sitting inside of A, which would exist around this fountain. You also have another small staircase that leads you down to another great line of sight point. This is an equal area where you could potentially engage a Bastion or a Torbrun turret over on that side. You could also start to engage enemies in this location. This is a great place for 76. Now, the one area where 76 is going to be weak is if he tries to drop down and actually cap A. I would leave this up to your Tracers and your Genjis, who are going to be more likely to drop in, start capping the point, and then as soon as things start to get crazy, you start seeing 2 or 3 of the enemy team rushing at you, Genji could use the wall to exit, and if Tracer could, of course, dash her way out of here as quickly as possible and make her way back to a safe zone. Soldier, if he jumps down, is going to have to make use of these rooms. There are health pickups in here, kind of bounce his way around. You've got another small area back here in which he could use to pop down a heal, maybe give himself a heal, start to deal the damage on. If you happen to have his ult up, this would be a great opportunity to eliminate anyone who has made that push for him. What I'm trying to show you guys is that all it takes is sometimes one hero to get behind enemy lines to cause a little bit of chaos. And at this point, all the stuff we've talked about, if you were able to accomplish any of this and start to deal that damage, chances are your team's going to be able to start making that push. Chances are your Reinhardt or your diva is way up under this bridge and you guys are already on it. You're making that move. What happens is people get really complacent and they sit under this archway and they just think, man, we're never going to make it through here. What will we ever do? It's like, well, number one, you can stop standing there and getting slaughtered, and you can do something to get behind enemy lines and start to deal that damage to the enemy team. That is going to help your team make that push. Like I said, guys, you want to keep this in your head at all times when playing Overwatch. It's not just about the kills. Sometimes just getting the damage done is equally as valuable to my team. If I spray a bunch of rounds on, 3 or 2 or a couple, even one of the heroes that's back here, and I'm able to do at least half damage or 20% damage, that's less health than that hero had 10 seconds ago. And that gives my team a little bit more of an advantage when we move in for that team fight or that team kill push, whatever it may be. Keep that in mind. Another great tactic, and this works really well, especially when playing in randoms, is most teams aren't that well coordinated. You just gotta admit it. Most of them aren't that well coordinated, and when you've got a team of 5 sitting right here holding your team back, and a Tracer or a Genji sneaks on back here and starts capping the point, they're all gonna panic. Probably 2 to 3, maybe even more members of their team are gonna come back here and be like, they're capping the point, and they're gonna leave that doorway, allowing your team to make that push. Genji's back here like, hey, I'm on the rooftop already, or Reaper or 76 are back here hiding out, waiting for that ambush moment. These are just simple tactics, it's just a matter of, again, gaining that map knowledge, guys, making those pushes. Of course, there are all of the factors that come into play when you're actually playing, but this is a great guideline for how you can push A inside of Temple of Anubis. So let's push forward and talk about B. Now, B is a point in the map which is far less contested in terms of its entryway. You can see right here, there's no fancy choke point. You've got a lot of, great ways to get into B. There are 3 lanes that are instantly accessible. You don't have to fight through any choke point. And that is because the main strength for the defenders in this situation is that their spawn is located directly behind B's location, which would be right here in front of this statue. Right there, yep. They're going to start pouring out of here. Makes it really easy for them to get on the point very quickly, which means that your team is going to need to do whatever they can to either land a team kill or to ensure that they are constantly spraying down any enemies coming out of that respawn so they can maintain the cap. So let's go back and start off with our 3 different pushes here. Now, you've got your right push, your right lane, which I particularly enjoy for range characters like 76. Even someone like Genji can do a little bit harassing over here. Tracer, you can get in here. You can start to deal damage to anyone sitting on the point. This is a particularly good line of sight when dealing with Bastion. Bastions love this room right here. They think it's their golden spot. Like, this is the #1 place to be. And it is if your team neglects Bastion's existence and allows him to spray down all of your big support characters trying to push through the mid lane to get onto B. So this is where someone like 76 comes into play. He can get in here, he can drop his grenades, he can drop his heal over here, he can pop, do all that damage. He can also watch line of sight, let anyone know if you've got like a Toblerone turret sitting over here, or maybe there's even a Bastion concealed behind that wall. This is a great way to communicate to your team and to start to land that damage that is going to be needed to make that push. Now, once that happens, you're instantly accessible to the point. You can drop right in, you can get on the point with your team, you can help them clear it out, or what I particularly enjoy doing, especially with characters like Reaper and Tracer and 76, is hiding out back here. Actually, all the characters I mentioned are great at, backdooring this specific area, so don't listen to me. You can make your way back here, and you can wait for the team to spawn. The team starts to push out, your team's sitting on the point. Oh, hey, what's up, guys? You already got your heal down, drop a nice juicy grenade on him, maybe even use your ult in this situation, and dish out that damage. Now, that is very much going to be sort of the final push scenario, where your team is on the point, and maybe they didn't land a team kill, which usually doesn't happen. Team kills are pretty rare, as a lot of the times when you're making a push, the defenders are sort of coming out gladiator style. They're really just looking to get on the point to do whatever they can to contest it. So they're coming out in pairs, individually. As soon as they respawn, they're coming out. They're not waiting for their tank to show up so they can group up. They need to get on the point. So your team, is going to have whoever they need to have on the point, your Reinhardt, your Diva, locked down defending it. But I feel that it's very important that in this specific situation, especially, but this can be applied everywhere, your team doesn't group up and just sit on the point together. 6 people all sitting on the point, completely unnecessary. You only need one person to contest it. It's usually important that that person is someone like Reinhardt. So you, that ambush tactic guy, that flanker, your 76, your Tracer, your Reaper, and all those people, they should be looking to ambush the enemy as they come into the spawn, hiding away. Don't let the enemy know that you're here on the point. Get positioning, get inside this room, make sure this is cleared out. This is one of the favorite places of your Hanzos and your Bastions. They love to sit in here, wait for their ult to be up, deploy it, and drop a dragon right on your team's face. So split up, make use of these little tucked away areas to assault the team as they come out of the spawn. That's really what you're switching over to. Once you make that final push onto this objective, you've made use of your lanes, you've gotten your team here. It's all about just ambushing the team as they come out of their spawn point. This left lane is also a great location for that. Not only do you have an amazing exit strategy with a health pickup, which, by the way, can also lead you down to the mid, allowing you to transfer across to the other side, grabbing a heavy health kit on the way, or healing yourself, something I strongly recommend doing. But you've got, just this great area here. Again, you can hit the team as they're coming out. Most likely, they're going to be focusing on getting on that point. You can spray them from behind. You can push in here. There's a lot of wonderful little areas on this map to really hit the team where they least expect it when your team is trying to lock down B. And it's really important that you make use of that and that you stay mobile. People get, as I said, the attackers, it's easy to get complacent. Well, I'm here, I've got a great angle, so why don't I just stay here? Well, that's not the sound strategy sometimes. You really want to keep the enemy guessing as to your location. You don't always want to be attacking from the same situation. They're going to start to recognize that. And you know what? You've got 200 health, your Soldier 76, you've got even less health, your Genji. You can die pretty quickly. So do what you can to constantly be bouncing from location to location, stay mobile, continue to dish out damage here and there. Guerrilla tactics. That's really what we're talking about at the end of the day here. This entire video is pretty much the same concept of guerrilla warfare. Move in, attack the enemy, do your damage, get out, regroup, and, pretty much rinse and repeat, of course, adapting to the situation at hand. Whew. So we really just looked at this from the perspective of Soldier 76, but I definitely gave you guys a few tips and tricks and how they could apply to the other heroes that I think would best work in this situation. As I said, I've had them up on screen, make use of them, and put them to the test. This is just my set of tactics that I have gained from my time playing this specific map. It's done well for me. There's no doubt about that. The game is ever changing. The community is ever changing. And there's no doubt that your tactics will have to evolve in order to remain successful. But what I stated here, the general guideline, as I said again, regarding attacking on a map like this, is making use of those lanes, guys. Doing what you can to get behind the enemy and breaking up their defense. If you let them hunker down, if you let them entrench themselves, and you don't do anything to break up that cohesion that they have, your team will fail. You'll sit back at that door all the way back at E, and you'll let the timer run out, and you will not succeed. If you guys have any other questions for me regarding anything we talked about here today with this assault on the Temple of Anubis, feel free to throw it down in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer it. I don't have all the answers, but I'll definitely do my best. Thank you guys once again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.